get my scoreboard. Now on a couple of these pockets, let's go with the first pocket. This is a horizontal pocket. Now the measurements for this one were 8 inches by 4 1/4, and I'm just going to score 1/2 inch around 3 sides. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I'll turn that around and do 1/2 inch on that side. Okay, and I'm just going to, I've put my ruler somewhere, there it is, and I'm just going to measure across that gap once that's folded. So that is 7 inches, so I'm going to need to trim that down to 3 3/4 inches for it to sit in quite nicely on that, and I might just need to trim a little bit off the top and bottom as well. Okay, so let's just pop this out the way. Right, ooh, going to get my red liner tape. So I'm making a pocket, so I'm just going to put red liner tape around the 3 sides that I've scored on. If I can find the end, there we are. My fingers are so cold. I'm surprised I'm not doing like dragon's breath in here, because it is that nippy. Alright. Okay, we'll cut that bit, and then we're just going to do this bit. So, oh, there we go. And this side, now you've probably seen on quite a few of my other videos of me doing the pockets, but it's always good to have a little refresh. So red liner tape around 3 sides. Where's my Bernie? There he is. I'll give him a quick rub down on there. That's it, make sure that that is sticking together. And then where the score line is, I'm going to cut diagonally across, so I come into where the 2 score lines cross, and then I just give it a little wonk. I'll go on the wonk there a little bit, and then we'll come across on this one and do exactly the same. I'm going to do another little wonky bit. Ooh. Okay, and then we can fold back our pages. These are not going to stick to the page, our little flap bits, like so. And yeah, I'm just going to score down that, and you can see where I've just cut it slightly wonky. It helps that corner lie nice and flat. And let's grab one of the pages. So I think I might have this on like there. Now obviously I've got nothing in the background at the moment, so if I'm going to tuck some and save some of the cards, then they'll be in the background, or I could put some backing paper in to sort of match. I might pick up some green or red or this sort of like almost peachy colour on there. So let's get this pocket stuck down first. Now when I'm doing the pockets, I always do the bottom bit first. So I'm just going to take that red liner tape off now. I'm just going to turn that around, and I'll just centre it to the bottom of the page, but not right to the very bottom, and I've come in just a little bit on either side, like so. There we are. It gives me a little bit of a gap either side of the page, and now I've done that, I can now peel these off. Here we go. Oops. And I'm going to peel off this one, so, and then we're just going to fold that over and tuck that down. Okay, so that is our first pocket done. Now, like I said earlier, if you just wanted to have something to store your cards in, then you could just fill your whole album with pockets, and then you can just sort of tuck however many cards that you want to in there. But I'm going to do mine a little bit mix and match. So let's take this off. So what did I say? 6 3/4. So I'm just going to, now I've noticed here we're just on that fold line. So I really want 3 3/4. What did I put them on? I said 3 3/4. Take that off by so that should fit. Let's see how we're doing. So I'm probably just going to need to come off another 1/4 of an inch. So I'll do an 1/8 of an inch top and bottom, just so that fits in. Let's just come in there. That's fine, that's just going to come to the top of that, like so. Let's not cut that straight on that edge. It's the trouble, my hands are so cold. Just trying to, yeah, I didn't. I knew, I could see that I hadn't quite cut it. There we go. All right. And let's just test this, see how it looks. Oh, that's not too bad. That will sit just nicely on there. I'll just have a little bit of an edge. I might be able to just trim a tiny bit off that other one, off the other edge. Let's just give us a little bit of a black border around the picture. So I think this is just a lovely way of you being able to either store your Christmas cards that you've received or just put them to some good use. So that you can keep them as well, and then you can add some photos in. So I'm just looking at the edge of the Christmas tree on the designer. I'm just coming out let's come out 1/4 of an inch first, just to see what that's going to look like. So it is a little bit trial and error at the moment. Okay, and then this one, I think we come out, is it 6 3/4 I said, so 6 3/4. Let's see how we go. Oh, that's not going to be too bad actually. That's almost going to be fairly even. Right, let's pop you out of the way. Oops, sorry guys, not the camera then. Right, okay. So that is going to stick on there. So I'm just going to tuck that one in there for the minute, because I need to go around and do all my inking and faux stitching and stuff. But at least I know that's where that one's going to go. If I'm going to do faux stitching on that, I might just ink on that one. And then on the opposite side, we're going to do the vertical pocket. So here is my vertical pocket. And again, I'm going to go around this three sides, 1/2 an inch. Now this one I've done 8 inches and I've done it 4.5 inches, so a little bit wider. But let's just have a little look at my, so that's 4 inches, so I might trim that down once I've done my scoring. I'll see how we get on. Okay, so I'm going to come in 1/2 an inch round 3 sides again, which is what we had before. I'll just do this side like so. There we go. Oh, click, pop that on there. Right, what else have we got? Bit of red liner tape. Where did I put it? I've buried it. Oh, there we are. Okay, bit of red liner tape. I'll put this on for a minute. I can always trim it down the pocket afterwards. Scissors, there we are. Okay. Oh, I've lost it again. There we go. Right, I'll just trim along there. So nice and easy, nothing too complicated to do these. And these are very basic pages and pockets, so it should be good to go. Right, we're just going to put our Bernie on those, and then I'm just going to trim the pocket again on the corner. We're just going to miter those corners, so come to the cross point and give it a little wonk on there, and then we're going to come to the middle again and just do those. All right, now before I fold it back, I just want to work out roughly how much space. So I quite like the fact that it's got the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year on it, and I'm just looking at that. So I am a little bit over, but the width of it as well. So I might just get away with taking the, I'm just looking at the pattern on where the white card is. So the white card will come there. I've got a bit of wiggle room with cardstock here, so I could bring that down, take that bit off. So here we go. Now she's stuck these on with little pads. Okay, so I might need to trim down and around that then and keep the pads on. Okay, right, so we're gonna come in, line that up. So I've got just enough on there. Where did I put them? Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's just taken that bit off. That comes down. Might need to just peel you off. I can stick you back on after. Let's just tell you, because then I can see what I'm doing underneath. There we go. All right. I just need a tiny little bit of red. I'm just going to fold that bit on so I can just see if I was to bring that in. Okay. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of the white here at the top, as much as I can. Okay. And then I can give the red just a little trim, and we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, is that going to work? Yeah, and then I'll take a little bit of the red off the bottom, because my Merry Christmas and Happy New Year will go back on. Oops, move that a little bit. There we go. It's quite a thick card actually. Let's just run that through again. Oh, right, okay. Cut that slightly wonky, Deb, but let's just put some pressure down and just give that a bit more of a. There we go. So that should be all right. Okay, so that will now sit on my pocket like so, and then I can reattach the Merry Christmas and have a happy New Year on there, and then that will be that one done. So let's pop this pocket onto our page. I see Alison is watching. Hi Alison, give me a little wave or say hello. Thank you for joining. Using up all these lovely Christmas cards. Okay, here we go. So I've done my horizontal pocket, do my vertical one. So because I'm doing it on the back, I need to make sure that my hinge seam is on the other side. And again, we're just going to fold our edges of our pocket, and then I'm going to peel them off. Whoops. Let's come out of my, that's it, get in there. And then we're going to stick this down. So again, I'm going to do the bottom bit first. I've turned it on its side, the pocket. It just makes it easier to handle. There we go, and then I can line it up. Oops. There we are, she says. Almost sticking it down and she's not ready. And just going to stick that like so. And then I'm just going to tuck those edges in. I think I'm a little bit out, but not to worry. Okay, and then we're just going to pop. Like I said, it is so cold in here. I can't feel my fingers. Whew. Right, okay, we're going to pop that down like so. And then I've got my front and my side pocket that will sit on there, and that will go in. So I'm just going to tuck those in so they can be finished. So that is basically one page already done. So I'm just going to tuck that out the way. Tuck you out there. There you go. Right. Okay, so our next page, I was thinking about using this this one, which I absolutely love, with the penguins, as a stacked pocket coming up on the inside. So I really want to keep that size going. It's also got a nice little bit of gold in there, and I quite like this little bit as well, so I want to use all of that. I think somebody who's watching might recognise this card. I'm putting it to good use, Alison. So I'm going to trim these off first, and then I can see exactly how much I've got to use to make my little stacked pockets. So let's just trim that down. So there we go. So that's already lovely, got a nice mount to it. And then we're just going to do this one. I'm just going to trim this off. There we are. So the little penguins, there is an odd little penguin on there, so what I might do is I might cut him out as well, but they're giving me the elements for this particular page. Now, stacked pockets. Okay, so it's really good for using up your strips and scraps and stuff. So I've got a pile of bits here. So let's have a little measure first of all. Now, we've got, so it's about 6 inches by 4 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so we'll go 6 inches, so we add on ½ an inch either side. So we need a 7-inch strip. So let's see, that would work. 7 inch, that's over 7 inches, so that'd be fine. 7-inch strip, and it's obviously deep enough so we can get our pocket cut out of here. Here we go. So yeah, so 6 inches plus half, so 7. So let's trim that down to 7. I'll try and use up all my scraps on these sort of projects as well. It just try to be a little bit sustainable. And then what did I say? 4 1/8. So I want to do 4 5/8. 4 5/8. Okay, let's just line that up. I keep all my scraps because they come in handy for all sorts of things. Right, let's get our little, and we're going to do, oh yes, no, it is the bottom one. It's all right. I'm just thinking for a minute. ½ an inch, and then ½ an inch around 3 sides. 1 2 3. So exactly the same. Like we're going to make a pocket. Okay, and our little cute penguins are going to sit beautifully in that gap there. I might need to trim that down just a fraction, but they're going to look really fab. So again, red liner tape, like so, if I can find the end. Okay, so we're just going to pop that one on there, and along the bottom, like so. Just give that a quick snip, and we're just going to do the last one. Okay, right, we'll just give these a little burnie. Oh, let's tidy up, Debbie. You've got lots of bits of paper everywhere. Okay, just going to burnish down that one. Alright, and again we're going to do our mitered corners, so I'll come into the cross point and then I'll just go on the wonk there a little bit, and then we come over here. So this is the base bit for my pocket, for the stacked pocket. Okay. So again, on the page, now I'm just looking, yeah, so I'll have that as the next page along. So I'm going to centre that in the middle. Or what I could do is move it over to one side, and then I might put a little strip of, like the gold, for example, got some, you know, the gold card or something like that, just so it picks up. So I might come over to one side actually. So, because this isn't quite as big as the page itself. Okay, and then we're just going to put the bottom one in first, like that, and then we'll do the next two. We'll just wait to see how this is going to come up, and then you've got the little stacked one at the top. So this stacked one I'm probably going to trim down just a fraction, because that I think is going to be a little bit too deep. But it's not until you put these things together do you have a little look. We are literally going with the flow here. There's no real organisation on this. I'm just going for it. Okay, right, let's pop that one down. So that's going to sit on like so. And then we're just going to do the little strip. So let's just trim this down as close as I can, but leaving a little bit of white at the top. And we don't want to cut off his little bubble hat. Okay, should we come down 2 1/4? Ooh, 2 3/8, that would do it. 2 3/8, there we go. Two and 3/8. So I need a strip. Ah, it was as if I'd measured it almost. Look at that. Right, so that needs to be 7 inches again. So we're going to go 7 inches like so. And oh, what did I say that was? That was 2 5/8. So I need to do 1, 2. I need to come just 2 5/8. So 2 and 3. Right, yeah, 2 5/8. Yeah, I was right. 2 5/8. As my granddad would say, measure twice, cut once. Right, okay, let's trim that down, because then that is going to give me a little bit of the black as well on the top and bottom once that's stuck on. Okay, so that sort of matches in with there. And then we just got to score this now. Let's take these bits out of the way. Okay, and this time, because it's a stacked pocket, I don't need to score the bottom, so it's just going to be 1/2 inch on both ends on the long side, like so. Okay, and then we're going to again put some red liner tape. That's not sticking to everything. Right, okay, red liner tape, just stick that down on there. Okay, and here we go with the next side. All right, okay, where's my Bernie? There he is. Bernie, come on then. Okay, and then that's going to fold and fold, and then we can pop that onto our page. Now, because I'm coming in from this side, I'm going to line up that bit first, and then I'll drop that second bit down like that. Got a little bit of room in there to tuck some bits in. Perhaps I'll put secret little cards and that in there, and things with tags on, so that's fine. You'll still be able to access those. Okay, I'm just going to fold that one down. Now, as I've said before in previous videos, if you're a bit unsure of just sticking straight down with the red liner tape, you can add a little bit of wet glue, which just gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, and then at least then you've got a chance to sort of move it about just a little bit before it fixes down permanently. And I'm just making sure that my edge is fairly straight. And there we are. Right, so these will get stuck onto here. So that's that side done. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck those into there. All right, so I think on this side we might do the flapper pages. Okay, or the four different sides. So let me have a little look. Where did I put those? I do believe I tucked them over here. 1, 2, flapper pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these are slightly different sizes, so I think the best thing to do is to cut these the same sort of size and then make up the flap bits to go for them to go on. So that one is just under, that's about 3 7/8 on that one. So I'm just going to jot these down, 3 7/8, because 3 7/8 by, and we'll go with the smallest one, 3 7/8 by 5 7/8, 5 7/8. Okay, and I think we might be slightly bigger than this one. What's that? 3 and yeah, that's pretty much. And that is 5 7/8. So those two are exactly the same size. It will be these two that I'll need trimming down. So let's just take off the back page like so. Just make sure that I'm not on the actual, there's the crease, that's it. Line that up. Okay, we're going to trim down. So that's the first one, and then the second one. I'm just going to trim that down as well. Okay, so we've got 2 there, and then these other ones will need to be coming down. So let's do this next one. It's got the snow, so I'm going to take this one off. So this one's slightly bigger. This is, use that. There we are. Okay, so I need it 3 7/8. 3 7/8, which I'm going to come in 4 inches for the minute, and then I can trim off a little bit on the other side, so the picture sort of stays relatively balanced. Here we are. 3 7/8. Okay, by 5 7/8. So let's just have a little 5 7/8. 5. Right, that is not 5 7/8, is it? That is quite a bit smaller. Okay, so we might need to trim down the other ones then. All right. So that is 5 5 5/8, so let's change that to 5 5/8. Okay, so I need to trim down a little bit on here. So that is 5 5/8, so I can probably get away with doing 1/8 of an inch either end by the looks of it. Again, trying to make sure that I'm keeping the image central to the card. Okay. All right, here we go. 5 5/8, like so. All right, that looks fine. Okay, so that should now be the same sort of size as that one, and then I need to do the same on the Christmas tree. So I'm going to come in and do 1/8 of an inch off one side and 1/8 of an inch off the other side. Okay, here we are, and then we're just going to do the same on this one. So it's quite nice to know that, you know, you're making something out of cards and that people have actually given you, that they're not just going to end up in the recycle bin, you know, that you're actually, you know, people have spent time and money sending you these lovely cards or making these lovely cards, that you want to be able to appreciate them. So by utilising them in a project like this, I think is a lovely nod to all those people that have spent that time. What they do. Now, I am hanging on to the card bits where people have written messages in, because I will probably put those and tuck those into a pocket, so I've still kept it all together. Now I just need my slightly wider one for this. I need it to be 5 5/8 of an inch. So I'm just looking here. So 5 5/8 roughly what I want to incorporate into the picture. So I sort of want to keep the robin relatively central, but I do need to trim off either side. So let's take off some of the tree, and 5 5/8. Let's just have a little look. Here we go, 5 5/8. And it doesn't matter if he's slightly off centre. In fact, some would say that he should be to one side and not the other, but I'm going to trim off a little bit more on this side, and then I'll come back to the other side. So we're just working out roughly. Here we are, and then 5 5/8. So that is almost putting him almost central, but slightly off. But it's still keeping the lovely background to it. Okay, here he is. So I just need to do 3 7/8. So what am I wanting to keep? 3 7/8. Do I want more sky than I do? So again, let's just take a little bit off one end and a little bit off the other, and then I think he'll be done. There we go. Okay. And then we're just going to turn that around and do the other side as well. 3 7/8. There we go. 3 7/8. Let's just line that up. Okay. Perfect. Right, so now we've trimmed down our cards for our flapper pages. We now need to make our flapper pages for these to sit on our album. So basically I'm going to have like a blue one and a blue one, and then I'll have a white one and a white one, and that's how they'll go on the page, which I think are just going to look great. So with that in mind then, I need to work out my sizing. So let's have a little look. I've got some scraps here that I'm probably going to use to make the pages. Now bearing in mind I need to leave a 1/2 inch and I need to leave a 1/4 of it, well, an 1/8 of an inch either side. So with that in mind, let's just work that out. So 3 7/8, so that is going to be 1, so that'd be 4, so that'd be 4 1/8, 4 1/8 by 5 7 by 6 3/8 of an inch. I think, if I've done my maths correctly. Let's cut one out and see if I'm right. But it also means that I will get a 4x6 photo on there. Okay, so we want 6 3/8 of an inch. 6 3/8 of an inch. 1 2 3. Here we go. Now I was sat the other day, when I'm just cutting these out, I was sat the other day trying to come up with some ideas of things that you might like to see me make or do. Now, if you've got any suggestions, or if you'd like to see some different methods, or even see some different types of items made and not just albums, then please do put a message in the comments, and then I can sort of go away and have a little look. Or if you want me to create an album, so say for example you want me to create a baby album or a travel album, or a recipe one, or something for Valentine's, or whatever that may be, then do drop me a line, and on you know, send me, like, put a comment on the comments page, and then I can sort of go away and have a little think, and then come up with something. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to make stuff that you guys would like to use and see, and etc etc. So please do, you know, sort of drop me a message, and I can do that. I am sort of thinking at the moment of making what I call the Book of Love for Valentine's Day, which is going to be quite funky, hopefully. And then obviously we've got other celebrations throughout the year, whether it's Easter, Diwali, you know, anything like that. Then just give me a nod if you want me to sort of create something for that. I'll be more than happy to have a go. And it's nice then, because then I know it's something that you want to see being made. So I'm quite happy to sort of do that. So please do put in some input into what we're going to be doing. And I'm just having a look at the rest of my stash bag. I think, oh yeah, I can probably squeeze one out of there. Will I get another one out of there? Oh yes, I reckon so. So yeah, so you know, do please comment. That would be fab. I did have somebody ask me for an idea for a baby album, I think it was. So I am going to be looking at doing that. And I was also considering making something like a craft journal book. So again, if that's something you might be interested in, then, you know, give me a heads up, and then I can sort of make something like that as well. In fact, I spent most of one afternoon just jotting down anything and everything I could think of that could potentially be made, that I can show you guys. But you know, I'm more than happy to sort of go with your ideas, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We are a community. Craftywafty very much in supporting others as well. So please do give us a shout if there's anything that you would like to see. And also, actually thinking about it, in our shop as well, if there's products in our shop that we don't have that you would like to see, then please message us as well with those, because you know, we can see if we can source them at a good price for you. Yeah, we'll be more than happy to sort of look into that as well. So just to sort of get your input would be fantastic. Right, okay, enough of me waffling on for a minute. Okay, so I've cut out the 4 flapper pages. I think I've cut that one to, why have I cut that one to 4 1/8, or have I cut one slightly too big? Oh, see, I was too busy chit-chatting, not paying attention. No, that is 4 1/8, which is what I wanted. That is 4 1/8. Have I cut these two too big then, I wonder? Yeah, I've cut that 4 1/4. Oh, right, okay, you've got to take it. Honest to goodness, Deb, what are you doing? You can tell, first week back at work, the brain has gone. Right, let's trim that one down. See, I'm only human. You only quite easily make mistakes, but I suppose in one sense it's showing you the process, really. You know, sometimes it is trial and error, and you've got to try things, and is that going to work, isn't that going to work, and that, so you just sort of go with it, don't you? All right, okay, on the long side then we are going to score 1/2 inch just down one side, okay, and then we're going to do the same with the other 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then the last one, number 4. Here we go. Clickety click. Right. Again, bit of red liner tape. So I'm just going to add this on here. Now, obviously, I couldn't have necessarily prepped all of this because I wasn't sure what pages I was going to, cards I was going to use, and then so I didn't really know exactly what the sizes were going to be. So I think it's good that you get to see the process of how we sort of do this sort of stuff, because you might have Christmas cards that are completely different sizes. So yeah, we just sort of go with these 1, 2, 3. But it's not to say that you have to just stick with Christmas cards, actually, thinking about it. You could do this with birthday cards. Say it's baby's first birthday. You could keep all the birthday cards. You can make a nice little album, and then they're all just tucked away and not shoved in a drawer getting damaged or what have you. You could pop them away in a lovely little album. What else? Yeah, so birthday cards, baby showers, wedding, maybe wedding cards, anything like that. You could utilize all of those. Sympathy cards would be a lovely way of keeping all those precious comments and that people have made for your loved ones. I think if I was doing the sympathy card book, I would probably keep the cards and decorate it with something else, because I don't want to keep all of those. Okay, right, here we go then. So for this one, I'm just going to fold back. We don't need to do any trimming or anything because it's just literally the flaps that we are working with. So we're just going to fold these back. But yeah, then wouldn't that be nice? So a nice way. You could almost have a collection then, couldn't you, of all the different cards and stuff. You know, all those special cards. Perhaps the 40th, 50th, 60th, 21st, 18th birthday, anything like that. I know I've labelled it as Christmas, but that's only because I'm using the Christmas cards. But you could certainly use it for anything else. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to place the flaps so that they go around, one coming up from each side. We have one coming down and then one coming across. That's how they're going to go onto the page. Okay, so we're going to start off with, we'll start off with this one in the corner first. And again, like I've said before, if you're not too confident about sticking these straight down, then do put a little bit of glue on the top. And this is where the hinges that's going to attach to the page, so I want to come in just a little bit, and I'm just coming in from the bottom of that page. Okay, so that now gives me a nice straight line that when I come to put this one on, I can line it up with that page edge there. Okay, so let's peel that one off. Let's suppose it doesn't take too long. I mean, we've been doing that. Where have we been? We're about just over an hour, and yeah. So I'm just going to make sure that that lines up. I've still got my finger underneath that, so that's not completely gone down. Straight edge along there as well. Okay, there we go. That's the second one done. And then I'm going to use this edge to put the top as that comes down in there and come in just a little bit. So the idea is that all these 4 flaps, so that when they're closed, all line up and make a perfect square is what we're after. So let's just peel that off. There we go. Oh. Okay, so I'm just coming in. And we're just going to a straight, that's not flat on there, just bring that up just a little bit. Okay, that's great, that's straight on there. 1, 2, 3, and then our final flap. It's going to come in down here. Now this one is a little bit tricky because it's got to line up with the bottom one, and it's got to line up with this edge here. So I'm going to take that off like so. And because of that, I'm just going to show you what I do. I'm going to add a little bit of glue just to this, just to give me a little bit of wiggle, just to make sure I get that in. Otherwise it potentially could throw the whole look out. All right, so that one's tucked in there. This one's going to come down. That's in line. That goes up like so. A little bit fiddly, but done. Beautiful. Right. Okay. And there we are. And then we'll have our cards that will go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on, have I lost one? 1, 2, 3. Oh, there it is. Phew, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they will be attached to that. So I'm just going to clip them on there, and I've got the stacked pocket on the other side. So we are technically 4 sides down, or 2 pages down, and we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I lose one? No, I haven't lost one. Right, okay. All right. What other ones do we have? Let me have a little think. Oh, yeah, we've got, oh, Jackie over is watching. Hi, Jackie. Thank you for joining us. Do say a little hello or put a comment in. That would be lovely. Don't know how long you've been watching. Unfortunately, on my pad it doesn't necessarily come up and let me know that you're there. I have to keep popping and having a look at my phone. So welcome. Right, so the other cards, I did have another design I was going to do, wasn't it, initially? Oh yes, the little mini square dance one. Okay, so with the square dance, it's exactly the same as the flapper page that I've literally just done. Okay, only instead of having rectangles coming down, I'm going to have squares. But the thing with this one is that the squares don't overlap. They join and meet in the middle. So it's really important that we get those measurements bang on. Okay, these are the 4 cards that I'm going to use. I've decided that I'm going to trim up and use on my squares. So let me just have a little look and see what my measurements were. I did jot them down, but you know what it's like, the memory get to my age, and you have to write everything down. I mean, it's a little bit sad, I know. Where did I put them? The 4 little, oh, right, okay. 4 inch, right, I'm going to jot this down before I forget. So we've got 4 inches by 3.5 inches. That is the size of the black card that I'm going to need, and so I'm going to need 4 of those. So I'm just going to stick that on there. So again, so using up some of my scraps, a little bag of scraps. Anything sort of square shaped-ish is going to, we're all about recycling today and utilising all our scraps. That one might be a little bit too small, but we'll give it a go. I think they're going to be too thin. Let's have a little look. Oh, no, I think you're going to be too thin as well. Oh, might have to go. You are a little bit smaller. I might go with you. Right, okay. I like to try and use up what I've got. Okay. So I need to cut these 4.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So let's get my ruler, which I've buried. That's nothing unusual on my craft desk. Does everybody else craft desk when you're doing or creating get as messy as mine? I'm trying to keep it, trying to keep it tidy, Deb. Come on. Right. Okay. So 4 inches. So we're literally going to splice down on this one. So 4 inches by 3.5. Make sure you measure it right this time. 3.5. There we go. Okay. Going to tuck that in there. So that's one down. Okay. Now this one, that's, oh, look at that. That is bang on 4 inches. Oh, that's perfect. And this is 3.5, not quite. So we'll trim down this one. There we go. Right, okay, and breathe, Debbie, and breathe. Right, okay, here we go. These are, that's 4 inches, so just do that. So we're just trying to do that. Okay, so we'll just slice that one down. 4 inches by 3.5. That's it. I keep saying I'm going to treat myself to a better board, you know. So I do find, I don't know, perhaps, you know what, I've just realised, everybody, you probably know, obviously you don't know because you can't see me, but I haven't got my glasses on. That's probably why I'm struggling a little, and people that know me will go, Deb, where are your glasses? Honestly, I don't know where they are. They're probably in some crochet bag somewhere where I've been following a crochet pattern, and they're probably at the bottom of a bag somewhere, and I've completely forgotten where I've left them. That's what I bet me money on, that that's where they are, somewhere. Okay, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, and then I'm going to score a 1/2 inch again because we need to make the little flap bit. Like so, and we're going to score the 1/2 inch on the 4 inch side. So if you're good with your maths, that should leave us with a 3.5 inch square. Yes, that's the plan anyway. So we're just going to pop that on there. That's another one. 1, 2. Here we go. Third one and the 4th one. And then we're going to, exactly the same, red liner tape, fold those, and then we're going to attach them to our page. Okay. Right, so it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Now people do ask which side do you put your red liner tape on. I put it on the side with the little indent, not the bubble side, because I'm going to fold the flap onto the bubble. Okay. You always fold onto the bubble. So just a little tip there. It's all to do with the paper fibres and stuff. Right, okay. Let's just trim that one off. 1, 2. We'll just do these next. So I'm quite excited actually that this is coming together relatively quickly. And looking at the cards and the other bits are going. I mean, that's what I love, you know, it's just that bit of inspiration as to, you know, what you can do and what you can make, just using up bits of cardstock, papers. As I said, like, thing is, obviously here I'm doing Christmas cards and that, but I want to have quite a nice colourful album when it's all done. Right, want to just give these a little burnish. Make sure that that red liner tape sticks firm before we peel that off. Now I've got pockets, so all the pockets that I've done so far start that end and will eventually fold outwards. So the one on this side I think had the flap, so I might flip this over because I don't necessarily want two type of flap cards together, or pages, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to turn the page over and I'm going to do it on the opposite side, and then that gives me that front page to do something else. So let's fold, give those a little burnish like so. That's working. Actually, these I've scored these quite nicely, so they're folding quite nicely. There we are. Oh, Bernie, I need you on that one. That's quite. There we go. Right. Okay. Now with this one, we're going to lay down our little flaps. Again, going the same way as the others were, but they don't overlap, they meet in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just gently lying these down for a minute so I can roughly work out how that's going to sit on the page. Okay, so I'm coming in, I need to come over this way just a fraction by the looks of it. Okay, so I think the best one to put down first is probably going to be this one in this bottom corner, because that will then give me enough space then if I need to sort of wiggle it over nearer to here. I'm not quite to the edge. I always come in slightly a little bit on my pages, so I'm going to turn that round and I'm going to stick that one down first. So here we go. Just going to peel that off. Voila. Like I said, if you're unsure, a little bit of glue on there, I'm just going to go for it. Let's be a rogue. Right, okay, so I'm coming in a little bit from the bottom, a little bit from the side, and there we are. Right, that's the first one down. Now that will give me a guide to come round and do all the others, so they sort of follow on. So this one will then get butted up against to that one, okay, and lined up with the bottom. So let's peel that one off. So this is what I find really fascinating, that you can just take some black card or any colour card and just create such beautiful things out of it, you know, and 3D things as well. I do like having a go at making some 3D projects and stuff, and I've got a corker for you coming up, and you're going to have to wait a few months for this one, but this one is coming out in the summer, ready for Christmas, because it is a big one, bigger and better than the Christmas album, and it's not an album, and that's all I'm saying. So you're going to have to wait for that one, but yes, I really can't wait until that one is ready to come. I've been working on it the last couple of weeks and stuff, and I'm really excited. I mean, I really want to show you now, but I'm not. I'm going to hang on and wait. Okay, right, let's slide that one in, and that one will need to line up with that one and that one, but if you've done it all beautifully square, then it should just slot straight in. Fingers crossed. Here we go. And we're just going to tuck that one in. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up that corner with these other two, so it just, I can just feel where it butts up against that. That drops down. Oops, come on. Okay, line that up. That sort of lines up on the bottom. And I think we are almost there. I'll just give that a little burnish on those sides. Right, and there we are, and that is our square dance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right. And then I've just got the little cards here that I was going to pick to go on there. Now I can see already that although I thought it was going to fit, my little Christmas tree is not going to fit on that one. That's a shame. And I wanted to sort of, I know the seasons one will, and I think, let me just measure this one. Let's have a little look. Dun, dun, dun. That's 3. Ooh, see, 3.5. So that is too big. Not unless I trim off some of that. That's really going to be a bit tight as well, because I need a 3. I need a 3.25 inch square. So if I go 3.25 inches, you see the deer will still work, and this one, because that's going to fit in within that 3 inch square. So that those two will definitely work. These two won't now. Okay, not to panic, because there might be something else on another card that I can use to trim down. Okay, now this one, let's have a little measure of this one. That is 3, well, that sits in the 3 inch square bit, and I might just have to trim off the top a bit. So that one could work. Okay, let's just have a quick flick through my cards. Here's a little bit. Oh, what about a Christmas? See, I've got a special Christmas wish and seasons. Now you've got the blues on that. Would that one work? Let's have a little look. 3 1/4 is really where I'm going. Is that just too? Oh, that might just work. All right, I think there was one other card that potentially I was going to consider. It's this one. So you've got two different sort of, you've got a holly one and another one, but they're very similar. So maybe not. Let's have a last little look in. Ah, what about me Sprout? He's rather cute. It's a little bit different. He is, so where's he? His little hand comes out there. So he would fit. Okay. Or the other alternative is that I've got this one where you've got the little bits and that sort of ties in, because he's quite cute. I might want to keep him for something else, but that's on a goldy bit. Just having a quick flick through, seeing if there was anything else on another card I could cut down. What about this one, the little Santa? Okay, so I could do him. I could just, but I do like that card for something else. See, this is the trouble now, isn't it? You see, you've got too much choice, and now I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Let me just have a look. I don't want to use the penguins, the robin, and I definitely don't want to use that one. Do you know what? I think I'm going to go with just the 3 for now. Leave the other one, and because in some of my scraps I might find something else that might go in that. So we've got a bauble, we've got a wreath, we've got the reindeer, and there might be something else that I might use. I suppose. See, that could. I'm just wondering whether if I use that one, the wreath, and then use the star, because I was just thinking of the words, because I could just cut that out and that. Right, let's go with those. No, I think you stick to your guns, Deb, because otherwise you could be here all night faffing with trying to make a decision. See, or there is this one that I could trim and maybe cut some of that out. See, that's got the red, and that will tie in with that, and it's got a bit of red there, so maybe not the blue one. Right, let's go with those. Okay, decision made. So I'm not going to trim these down now. I'm just going to attach these to the side of this page, because I will trim those down and then we can add that on. So we're just looking at all the different things that I can do with the pages. Okay, now on this side, what I'd like to do is have something that I can cut, that I cut into, that I can then tuck things into. So maybe something that has, let me see, maybe something, you see, I was looking at this page, this card, and I love the fact that it's got the Winter Wonderland. And I think that that could almost just be, if I was to cut round and just come in and out of that, that could almost sit as it is. And I could almost have that as a flap, or come in from that side. Perhaps I'll attach it on that side, and then you can tuck and, you know, sort of come down here, and then you can tuck things into it and put something in on the background. So I think that would look quite nice. Something, you know, it just breaks up the shapes a little bit. And because you've got like little stars and things like that, I could put a bit of glitter card, or maybe some like sort of snowflakey type card, or something to go in the background, just to help sort of pop that up. So actually I'm going to leave that one on there, because I'm going to do that as a slot in. Now I could mount that onto black as well, just to sort of save that card edge. So you know what, well, let's do that now, and then I can show you how to do it up best with it. So I have got a bigger bit of card stock here, and I want to come in like so, but I also want to cut out this bit. So let's split the card up. Let's come down that edge like so, because you might have a card this sort of shape, you know, that you need to work with. Okay, and then I'm just going to follow that edge around as best I can. Okay, that's sticking out a little bit. I need to trim that just a little bit, because that's where it's come down flat, just to, okay, and then we're going to come in on that straight bit. Like so. Okay. All right. So that is my card, and then if that gets attached to that, now if I'm going to make a hinge, it's really deciding what I'm going to do. Am I going to have it coming down and open? Perhaps I'll have it like that. And what I could do is have a magnet. If I was to centre that on the page and have the flap coming down that way, I think that would work better. And then I can put a little magnet or a Velcro dot to hold that at the top. And then the paper underneath could be put in as a background. So yeah, let's go with that then. So if that's the case, I need to allow myself some space at the top to trim round. It's going to be a little bit tricky cutting around this circle, but I do need to put score a 1/2 inch for the flat bit at the bottom. So let's do that. So this bit of card stock I think is 7 1/4 inches by 7 3/4. 7 1/4 by 7 3/4. So I've got this bit here for the hem. So let's just work out roughly. Alright, red liner tape, because I will cut and trim this down a little bit. So we're just going to put that on there so I know that's my hinge as well. It just helps stand that out a bit better. Okay, and then I'm going to glue that on. So let's just fold that hinge back so I can see where that's going to come down to that edge, like so. And I'll glue that on and then I'll just cut all the way round. But before I do that, I am actually, let me just ink this one up while we've got it here. Oh, what have I done with my inks? Oh, okay, well I would ink it up, but I don't know what I've done with my ink pad. Okay, well look, you get the idea, yeah? And then that will stick onto that page. So, oh, I can't believe I've not got my inks. Did I put them in the other one? No, I didn't. What did you do with it, Deb? What did you do with it? And you've lost your little pad. Perhaps we'll go with a, not the black. Mind you, that's more of a bluey grey colour. Let's go. Let's use you then. Here we go. Right, okay. Needs must. I don't know what I've done with it. Right, so I'm just going to come in and just go round that edge. Like so. And that will just hide any little bits of the white card core. There we go. I'll just sort of blend it, help to blend it in. There we go. All the way around. Lovely. Right, now I'm going to stick it on. See, it's missing out of my tin. What have I done with it? No idea. Right, never mind. Okay, I'm going to glue this on. Just using a bit of the book binding glue. Now, if I was going to use a magnet for this page to stick to it, then I would put the magnet under here. But I think for this one, it would probably just be a little Velcro dot. But we'll stick that on there. So I've got my 1/4 inch showing at the bottom. Like so, because that's the bit that's going to fold in. And now, once that's stuck down and this book binding glue goes off really quickly, I can just cut round and do that. So let's just quickly do that then. Coming in about 1/4 inch. It's a little bit tough on that bit because we're going for about 3 layers now. Right, let's open that up. Now, obviously, if you're doing stuff like this at home, you can probably take your time, and you might even have some circle dies that you could use to cut out your card and then sort of lay it on that. But I'm just going for it. It's all just giving you different ideas of what to do. And we're just coming down and around that edge there. Right, come into that corner bit. Coming out and straight down. Do you know what? That's not too bad. Okay, don't judge me, people. All right, it's as good as it's going to get, certainly for tonight anyway. Okay, all right, so here we are. So I've done that. So my page, I did the one on the other side. Which one was I doing? I think I was going to do it on this page. So I'm going to fix that onto there. I can put a little Velcro dot, and then when that opens up, so it's almost like a giant sort of flap pocket type thing, but I might put a little pocket or something inside to tuck other bits in. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to attach that onto there. I can then put some lovely cardstock behind it just to sort of make it pop a bit, and then we're good to go. So let's just put this on here. Okay, because this might hold some of the bigger cards if you've got some bigger cards or some unusual shapes that won't fit into a pocket, then that might work. All right, look at that little Velcro dot or something, and then yeah, just sort of hold that down. Or I could make a little flap, maybe a little star flap or something to come over the top. In fact, I have ordered a really lovely little die set from Cool Cats Crafts, which is that you can put your magnets in to hold it down. It's got a nice like little flower, or I think there was a star. I might do that and have a little star, and then that will hold that down quite nicely then. So I might not do anything with that page till nearer the time. Okay, so we've got that. Now, the other one that I quite liked the look of was, we've got the lovely penguins here. Got beautiful Merry Christmas. Also got the robin, which I thought was really rather lovely as well. So I'm just thinking what I'd like to do with him. Now, he could go into, because he's really quite a jolly chap there. He could go quite nicely in maybe a frame. So I could do a frame and have him in the background. So we could do like a little acetate frame actually, and then have him in the background, and then you can just slide some bits and pieces in. So that would be a good one for him. So let's just pop on there. What do I do with my pen? There we go. So we're going to do him as a little frame, maybe. Okay, and I quite like this one as well. This one is really nice and big. So I'm just wondering whether we use that as a pocket, so that is quite deep. But I did have another biggish card. Let's have a little look at this one. I'm just thinking about one that I could cut and slip. So this tree is rather lovely, and I quite like the sentiment down here. And you've got the little robin. So what I might do is cut round here and come all the way round, have that on a corner, and then have that as a sliding pocket. I think is rather lovely. So let's have a little look further at this one. It's got an insert, so let's just pop that insert out if it will allow me. There we go. I'm going to keep hold of the insert. Okay, I'm just going to slice this one down. I need my bigger ruler because it's a much bigger card. So it's just having some inspiration. The other one that I was thinking of, before I forget, let me just jot down, is doing a waterfall. Let me just write that down, waterfall, so I don't forget. Here we go. Right, okay, so this is the, I'm going to have this as almost like a diagonal pocket to some degree. I'm going to hang on to that actually, because that is quite a nice background bit of, you know, on the inside. That could be used as a background for one of the other cards, one of the other pages. So we'll hang on to that. All right, let's pop you over there because you're going to be a frame. So I think with this one, if I was going to do a diagonal, let me just look at the size, whether that will work or not. So I could come in just down, yeah, maybe come down like that. I might trim a little bit off there just so that comes down a little bit more. That'll give me more of a thing to slot in. So let's go with that. So I'm going to cut this out. Let's trim off the bottom bit first. Let's pop you that way. Right, okay. Let's come just above that little. There we go. Just going to slice down that one. Okay, and then we're just going to gently cut round. So let's use a smaller pair of scissors. Yeah, because I can't really do that diagonal. So I'm just going to round this off a little bit. So we'll have a straight edge coming down here, but this will be shaped. Like so. And I can probably curl that round a little bit more, and then that's gonna, I'll just come round. Here we go. Alright, let's just get that a little tidy up on that corner. I'm going to keep hold of this bit because that might come in handy as well. So that will be my, let's just bring that round just a little bit more, just to give that more of a curve. Oh. There we go. All right, so let's just see if that's going to fit on my page. Oh yeah. And then I can have stuff to tuck in behind that as well. So that would be really cool. Right. Okay, and actually I could almost score 1/2 inch along there and 1/2 inch along there and just have that as that, or I could mount it on black card. But I think it will look better mounted on black card, because then it just helps make it pop a little bit. Right. Okay, let's see if I've got anything bigger that I can use for that. I don't think I can, so I'm going to have to dig into a big page. Oh! But there we go. Right. Okay, and I need to come in 1/2 inch as well. Yes, Mick, I know. So where are we looking? Measurements from the top, that's 6 1/8. So let me cut that 6 1/8, so 6 1/8. Oops, 6 1/8 plus 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, right? So 6 5/8. There we go. I've got a bigger ruler somewhere, but there we go. I'll just crack on with it, right? And it's going to get cut anyway, right? There we go. So I'm going to score 1/2 inch again. Mount that. Have I done that enough? I'm sure I've done it that way. Yeah, because that will cut in just in there. Right, okay. So let's cut down this bit, and then we're going to do the scoring bit. There we go. Oh, lovely jubbly. Right, score 1/2 inch. See how that sits on there. I need to come down a bit. I was going that way, wasn't I? I think I've cut that just slightly too small, but I want it just for for the pocket, so I am going to come in and do 3/8 of an inch. Oh goodness me, 3/8 of an inch on there. So I just need enough just for that to catch, and then I can trim round that. Oh, okay, right, here we go. Oh, here we are. Right, let's just tidy up everywhere. We've got stuff everywhere. Put that out of the way. Right, so I'm going to come in and around, just very gently, just making sure I've got enough. And I'm doing this rug on, I haven't stuck it down, but just trying to get a rough idea of what it's going to look like on the page. And I don't want to stick it down in case it doesn't work, and then I can use it on something else. Right, let's come round. Okay, and I have come down a little bit on that. Okay, Deb, you've completely messed that up. Let's redo another bit. Sometimes if it's not working, it's not working. You just need to go, that's not happening. Let's just redo another bit. All right, okay. I'm going to stick it down, then score it, then deal with it afterwards. So let's just ink along that edge like so. Okay, I'm going to glue it down, and then I can cut it out. I should have done it the first way around, but there we go. We live and learn, don't we? All right, I'm just going to pop that on there, allowing that 1/2 inch and a little bit more for the scoring. Okay. All right, let's now just cut up and go across like so. There we are, that's better. Right, I'm going to score my 1/2 inch down here. There we go, that's much better. Yes, like I said, trial and error. You've got to try these things, and if they don't work, then you have to come up with something else. Now that is a little bit, so I'm going to come in just a fraction more on that one. So that leaves me with that. That's fine. That leaves me with that 1/4 inch gap. Okay. And then we're just going to trim round. So I'm going to come up and just going to cut round. Mickey, no, you stay there. We are going to get a, oh, too late. We're going to get a visit. Hello. You probably just walk right in front of me. I can't see what I'm doing now, Kat. Thank you. So Mickey's decided to join us. Thank you. And I'm still still trying to cut everything. All right, you're going to say hello to everybody, Mick? You're going to say something? You're going to meow? Oh. Does anybody else have this trouble? Because, you know, when you get your tail out the way, you're just going to lie on the... There's not enough room for you, Kat, and for... He's taken advantage of the fact that I've got my hands full. and that I can't pick him up and take him off the table. And right, are you purring now? You're saying hello to everybody. Right. Right, come on, you need to come down now. Come off the table, please. I apologise for this, everybody. Honest to goodness. What is he like? Come on. Right, let's pick you up. Oh, right, go on then, down you get. Thank you. Right. Where were we? Oh yes, cutting out our pockets. Okay. So I just need to add my red liner tape. I'm going to get this stuck to the page quick before we have a certain fur baby come and decide that he's going to sit on everything else again. Obviously fur is not included on here, you know, every outfit in my house is covered in cat fur. I'm trying to make this album without cat fur in it. Mick. Okay, all right. Now, because it's going to be like a pocket on here, we need to still mitre the corners. So I'm going to come in to that cross point, and then I'm going to just do a quick wonky bit on it. I've now got fur all over my face. Okay. Right, so we're going to fold those back on those edges. You can see that's going to lie nice and flat, and then that will tuck nicely on the corner. I think I'm going to put it on this page like so, and then we can tuck some nice bits on there. So I think that's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah. All right. It's just, so again, I'm just going to unpeel the bottom bit, line that up to the bottom of the page like so, and then I can just do that other side bit, and then that will tuck in. And obviously I can cut card stock to go in behind it. That will just sort of make that pop. Do you know what would be quite nice is to maybe put a bit of gold in behind that, because that will pick up with that, or a nice sort of like the white, or picking up here on this shimmery bit, or even the green would look quite nice just to make that pop. So there we are. So there's another page. So how are we doing for our pages then, people? I think we're certainly zooming along. So we've got our little flap one there, which will have a little enclosure at the top. We've got a side pocket. What else have we got? We've got, these are going to be the squares. So we still need something on the back of that one. The others were all pockets and stacked pockets and the flappers. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the other thought I had was to make a waterfall card page rather, and on the waterfall I can use quite a few different little pictures, maybe some funny ones and things like that. But let's just have a little look. So we've got these. Now the waterfall, if I remember rightly, let me just dig out my, I'm getting into a mess again, Deb. Now when I did the waterfall, let me just check to see what my measurements were, so I know roughly what we're working with. I'll just sing as we go along. That was the stacked pocket. That was the inside one. Where is chevron waterfall? Right, okay. 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/4. Let me just jot that down. 4 1/4. 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Actually, if I wanted it quite as long as that, or do I want to come up a little bit? Let's have a little look. What I've decided is that I'm actually going to create myself a little box where I can store all the different measurements for all my different albums, so it will make life a lot easier to find what I'm looking for, because at the moment what you can't see is I'm flicking through my notebook here just trying to find it with all my scribbles. Let's have a little look. I think we'll go with these measurements, and yeah, 4 1/4. We might cut that down to 5. Let's have a little look and see what we've got. Okay, so we're coming up to almost a 2-hour mark. So I think what I'll do is I'll do this one, the little waterfall, okay, and then we can look at another couple of quick ones, and then what I'll do is that if you like, I can come back next week and I'll show you where I've got to, what else needs to be done, because to be honest I wasn't 100% sure how long this was going to take and trying to sort everything out. Now we've got a waterfall, so ideally our waterfall is coming down, so these ones on this side won't work, but these might work on a different one. Would they work on a, might do 2 saloon doors, we might do a couple of saloon doors, that would work. Just trying to look at ones that are going landscape. Let's have a look. He's a landscape one, so he's quite a fun one to have. He's a little bit too small, so we'll pop him to one side. Now the Christmas tree, we could use that, but it's that depth of that, so I'm probably going to leave that one. This one, no, they're going to be 2. We really want them. Let's have a little look at the square ones. You see, those are not going to be. So you've got a traditional scene, so that could go quite nice on the waterfall. Let's just have a little look. Ideally, if I can do at least 4 flaps coming down with different cards on it, that would be really nice. I'm not going to use me Robin because I like him. He's going to do something else. Oh, now I could do, I've got Season's Greetings, which is just very basic. Or I've got a Happy Christmas. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Now that possibly could work. So we'll put that one there. And just have a quick little look through these other ones. Oh, I am, honest to goodness, my face is covered in cat fur now. He likes to give me a nudge. Santa Claus, that possibly might work. See, the penguin is rather sweet, but I might want to save him for something else. Oh, we've got that one, Merry Christmas. We've got a couple of scenes here, but they're a little bit deep, if you see what I mean. Right, let's go with these ones then. Okay, and we'll look at the measurements and see how we're going to get on. So if we're doing 4 1/4 inch across, so that only means that there'll need to be 4 inches, and then ideally 4 to 5 inches coming down to fit on a 5 1/4 inch card, black card. Right, okay. So already I can see that 4 inches is not going to work on that one, but it depends on how big I go with the waterfall, I suppose. Normally I've done them like centered, but I could almost go across the page with the waterfall and just do a big waterfall, although the Santa one wouldn't work on that, but these certainly would. So that one definitely would. That one would, because we'd trim that one down. That one is a little bit on the smaller side, but that's not to say, can we get away with that if I trim that down to that side? Okay, so we could go with that size. If I aim to that size, that one on its own, but with the white card behind it, would work. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So my little Santa won't work now then. Okay, and what else have we got? Have we got anything else? I think that was all the ones that I had that would Oh, what about this one? Would this one work? But I suppose the depth of it is a little bit too deep. Needs to be sort of Santa size. Okay, no, we'll just go with the 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So this is the measurement that we are going with for our card. That will sit centered to our thing, and I can always put a couple of strips of gold, because if you remember I had some gold card from one of the other cards, so I can utilize some of that. Okay, so we just need to cut our pages then. All right, so the flaps are going to need to be so that is 6 and 5, 6. So let's do 6 and 1/8. 6 and 1/8 by, so 4. So let's say that's roughly 4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4. Actually, I'm going to do that 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. Because then that will give us a nice even round on the photos. And then I need to add another 1/2 inch to the flap, so that would be 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. Deb, no, you've gone around the wrong way. 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. There we go. It's getting late. The brain is beginning to fail miserably. Right, let's just cut these out, and we'll get the waterfall on. Try and get this done, and let's have a little look. So what did I say? 4 3/4, 6 1/4, 6 1/4. So I'm just using up the scraps again. 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. Is that going to be enough? Oh, almost. Okay, I think we'll get away with scoring that one. We'll just straighten it up though, because it's a bit wonky where I cut it. Oops. Okay, so we'll score on that edge and have the straight edge on there. In fact, I'm just going to score on that now. So I want that 6 4 3/4. I'm just going to score down that 1/2 inch. I know it's not quite, but that will straighten everything up, so it saves that cardstock a bit. There we go. All right, so let's just do the rest now. Okay. I've lost my measurements. Where will I be? Here we are. 6 1/4. 6 1/4. 1/4 by 4 3/4. Now, some of you may have already seen me make a waterfall before. If you've been watching some of the other albums, I've done basic one, like a square one, and I've done a like a chevron shaped one. Okay, now you can, if you want to, make these a little bit longer and put a fancy edge die going across and cut that out, or if you've got one of those fancy edge punches, you could sort of punch out a really nice sort of fancy pattern if you want, so that when it layers it down, you can see that, and that looks quite nice. Just to sort of give you some ideas. Now, I'm going to need to cut. I don't think I've got anything else wide enough. So let's just cut out. How many cards did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, didn't I? So let's just look. I'm getting in a mess again. Right, let's just shove you all over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 6 and 4 3/4. Like so. Yeah, so you could, you know, use some fancy edging strips on these. If you wanted to, it just helps, you know, just gives it something a little bit different. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I just like to sort of come up with different ideas of what you can make and do, which is all good fun. Right, okay, and then we're just going to cut this down 6 1/4. We're almost there, getting these ready. Yeah, so actually, if you haven't had a look at Cool Cats Crafts, they've got loads of lovely little dies and that you can use for making your albums, like tags and edging and various other bits and pieces. So it is worth having a little look to see what they've got. So I quite like using some of their stuff. I know I will be incorporating some more of their goodies throughout the year with some of the new things that I'm going to be making, just to sort of change it up a bit, really. I think, you know, I think we can all sort of have a go at making a basic album, and especially if you're starting out, you know, and then you want to sort of just try different things, just the sort of decorative ideas and that. So I'm just going to third one, already done a 4th one, so I'm just doing 1/2 inch along there, because that's going to be the flap that we're going to glue to our page. So I'm just going to run with the red liner tape again. So as you can see, it's all very much building up of just pockets and flaps and things is what you're doing, just to make things look a little bit different, so it's not all just the same, and it just adds to that. Scissors, where did I bury them? Under here, there we go. Yeah, so it just gives you that chance to sort of do different things and have different page layouts, really, I suppose. Right, okay. So bearing in mind that we've been going since, what, 7 o'clock, it's just gone just over 2 hours. We've created a few pages. So if you think about it, this sort of project, because when I made the album on the other video, that didn't take too long. You could easily sort of knock up one of these in a weekend, you know, or a couple of nights. I think that, you know, it's a nice little project to do. Cat, you're not coming over here. Just stay there, please. He's going to try and jump on the... You get to... Oh, for goodness sake, Mickey, you're going to knock everything flying, Cat. Right. Yes, I know it's you, and I love you dearly. And you've had me all this week for cuddles in the evening, but I need to get this done. Is that all right? Come on then. Get down. Get down. That's it. Go on. Sorry about that. Do you know, some nights he doesn't come anywhere near me. He doesn't want to know me. No, but as soon as I'm busy doing something, chit-chatting away, that's it. He needs to be centre of attention. Right, you're not coming back for a second round. I've said no. That's it. You stay there, please. Here we go. Right, let's burnish these. And I'm going to burnish that one. Okay, and that one, and we're just going to do this final one. No, Cat, honest to goodness, come on, get down. I'm building up a barrier to stop him from jumping up. Get down, that's it. Thank you. Oh, Right, where were we? Oh my life. Okay, waterfall. Right. Here we go. So on this one, I'm just going to fold back those edges. Just going to run that through. On the waterfall, just fold those all back. Fold it back on the bubble. Give it a quick burnish. Like so. And the final one, that's it. Okay, and then the idea is, so this is my page, that's how it's going to attach to the album. So I'm just going to try and center the first one, and then the others will come down afterwards. So I'm turning the page upside down. So if you imagine that's going to join your page, so I'm turning it upside down to stick it on. And I'm just going to take the tape off. Okay, and I'm just going to, there we go, line that, centre it as best I can. In fact, if I use, I think we're almost there with that. So once you get the first one down, then the rest you then line up and then they will follow. So now I can turn that on the side. And now I can see where I'm going to line those up as they come down. It's always, once you get the first one in, it's not too bad after that. So let's just, and again, if you're not too confident about doing this, add some glue to it. Okay. So if I fold that like that, you're then starting to get the waterfall effect. Okay, let's just see. How am I gone with that? That's gone a bit squiffy on that one. Perhaps the page was cut a little bit wonky. Looking at it, it looks like it was. Just, oh, okay. Don't worry. That's not an issue. It's not a major issue. Right, we'll come to the next one. And we're going to line it up the same. Okay. Line it up like so. Okay, and that comes down. And they are all really quite squiffy. Never mind. What I can do is just fold that up a little bit and burnish that. That's fine. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we do the final one, which goes on here afterwards. Okay, making sure that's lining up straight at the bottom, because what we want to make sure is that it does fall straight at the bottom as well. Okay, just line that up, make sure that is straight at the bottom. That lines up with the others, and there we are. Very basic, simple waterfall. A little bit squiffy, but you know what, I can sort that out. I've obviously cut that page slightly squiffy, but that's fine. I can just straighten that. In fact, let's do that now while we're thinking about it. Oh no, we won't. We'll leave it. I'll sort that out later. Right, okay. And then I will then just trim down these cards, and these will attach on the front, and then you'll get the different cards going down. So we might have that one in there, or we might have the big one at the bottom, maybe. Then we've got the Father Christmas one, so I can just move those around and do that, but these will all get trimmed down. Right, okay, well, you know what, considering I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be doing with these tonight, I think we've sort of worked our way through, so let's just have a little recap. There are still a few little bits and pieces that I need to do and sort out, obviously. So we've got, so this is the, whoops, let's put it up the right way. Right, so this was the stacked pocket, and then with the little flapper page on there. Then we've got the horizontal pocket and vertical pockets on there. Okay, so that would sort of go maybe like that with a pocket like so, and the flaps. Then we've got this one, which is I think I would probably put in as a plain one, because then I might just put photo mats on that, because it's good just to have some plain ones if you want to put some photos on. I know we can put photos in behind these other bits, but if you're tucking in cards, or if I wanted to put another pocket on there. Then we've got this one, which is just a slide-in, slot-in pocket. Okay, then we've got the little 4 square one, which obviously when I've trimmed those down, and then that gives me a blank one at the back as well. So I could put that one in there to have as a flap, and again I could use this one as another page just for a couple of photos, because what I can do is with some of these cards is cut out some of the elements, and there were things that I quite liked, like the Santa Claus. You see, I could cut him out and have him on a page, decoration and stuff like that. So then that will come in there. We've got another blank one there, which I think I was going to probably add the robin and just put a frame around that and have that as a little slot. And then this one is the waterfall, and then we've got another back page as well. So in fact, I think what I might do is put the frame on the back of this one, because technically this one could be towards the back of the album, and then maybe I could do something like with a belly band or something on here, or a little flap up, flap down, open, where we can put a couple of other cards and that. But you see where I'm going with this. So I think, in all honesty, I'm probably going to call it a night for tonight. My poor Moggy is getting quite restless, bless him. So what we'll do is that I'll do another one. I'll carry on with this next week. I'll put up another event, so do come and join me for that one. And by then I should have had everything trimmed down, cut in and stuck ready to go into the album. And there might be perhaps an odd page that I might just show you something else that I might do slightly differently with some of these other bits and pieces. But overall, I mean, when you think about it, you know, just using up the Christmas cards, and no word of a lie, I've still got loads here that I could use up completely if I wanted, or hang on to them for other pages, or I can just put another pocket in there where I can sort of just tuck in some of the cards and that I want to sort of hang on to and keep. You know, when you've got like cute little things like this, I mean, I'd love to be able to take that off and use that as a decorative element and that as well. So thank you for watching and putting up with Mickey and his lovely interruptions, bless him. I know it's been a bit of a mishmash tonight, but that's the whole process of coming up with designs and using stuff that you've got in your stash, whether it be Christmas cards, papers and things like that. And I think probably what we'll do next week as well is I'll talk about how I'm going to decorate the cover and that as well. So yeah, definitely we'll do a second one next week, finish off the bits, do the covers, put the pages in, and then we've got our Christmas card album.